And then I get a text from my agent that goes something like this: Chloe, I need you to fly to Milan tomorrow to cast for Fashion Week. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Chloe and I'm a model and computer science student. Now on this channel, I make content about traveling, about modeling, and also lifestyle content, so be sure to subscribe. Today, as you can tell from the title, I wanted to make a video about how I became a model and specifically how I got from Singapore to walking in London Fashion Week. So without further ado, let's go through the journey from the start to the end. Since young, I was always one of the tallest girls in class, so not the tallest, but maybe like the second tallest or something. A lot of people throughout my life were like, you're tall enough to be a model, why not go for it? But I never really thought about it seriously because I thought the modeling industry was such a hard industry to break into. When I was 19, one of my colleagues told me, you have the face of a model, you're tall enough. I have a friend who's associated to an agency, you should go try it out for their open casting. And at that point, I was like, okay, why not give it a try? And like many other stories out there, this one also starts with a failure. So I go to this casting. I'm 19 at this point and I'm wearing like a black singlet and jeans that I borrowed from my friend because I simply didn't have casting attire. So for context, casting attire usually is supposed to be something plain and something that can show your silhouette, something that doesn't take away too much attention from your features. So I didn't have anything like that at the time and I was simply completely unprepared. I had dyed hair, I had like pink hair and my roots were showing and I don't know who allowed me to go for a model casting looking like this. It's horrifying. Like, what was I thinking? When I was there were so many gorgeous girls and guys and I was just like, there's no way I'm gonna make this. So there was a queue and then I casted, it was my turn. They took pictures of me, asked me some questions, and then they told me that they would basically inform me about the decision through email. I received an email saying that I wasn't chosen, which is not surprising considering the state that I turned out to the casting in. Like, I wouldn't have chosen me. At that point, I was like, this is the end. Like, maybe modeling is just not for me. So I put it aside until 2020. My boyfriend sees a casting call post on Instagram. This is basically where agencies post on their social media or website asking for people to come in for casting. And my boyfriend told me to go for it, but I was like, but I've tried this before and it didn't work out. I thought about it for a really long time and I really wasn't inclined to go for this. I remember on the casting day, I had to go get some casting attire in H&M or something and look for clothes. And I was really lazy to do that, so I almost didn't go. But I went, I bought a really ugly t-shirt from H&M, basic white t-shirt that didn't fit me well, but I didn't have time. I wore that, a plain white t-shirt and some jeans to the casting, and surprisingly the bookers there were like, you know what, we like your lips, we like your eyes, I think we're gonna sign you. So I got signed with Mannequin, an agency in Singapore, and after I joined, the agency told me that I basically had to clean up my look, which was fair because I still had this crazy pink and crazy bleached uneven hair. So I dyed it all black and then I cut some bangs and I started looking actually presentable. So I've always also had crooked bottom teeth. They're straight now, but they weren't. So I also got braces for my bottom teeth, so it was actually a complete makeover. So like mentioned, it was the pandemic and there was nothing. They put me up to do some test shoots with photographers to build a portfolio. So this was the very first test shoot that I ever did and it turned out looking like this, which is so cool. So I went for a few really cool test shoots, which helped me build my portfolio up. I also went for a few castings so that clients could see what I looked like in real life. And I wasn't landing any jobs, which I remember feeling really sad about because at that time, when I was a new model in the industry, I remember being really affected by all the rejections at the casting. But I mean, as time goes on, you realize that rejections are just a very normal phase in modeling because you can't possibly get every casting that you go for. I think it was in June, I went for this clothing brand casting and I wasn't really confident about it, but then my booker told me that I actually got the job. I was so happy because at that time I didn't believe in my face, I didn't believe in myself. But yeah, this client confirmed me and I shot for their clothing brand and that was my first ever job. Shortly after that, I also booked an editorial job for a local magazine and I remember being ecstatic about that. Like, me in a magazine, that was crazy to even think about. Like, they did some crazy lip colors on me, and it was just like a really fun concept. So this was in July 2020 because I was still studying. So I'm studying computer science in the National University of Singapore. So I was only doing modeling part-time. I couldn't do it full-time. So throughout the years, I got more jobs, mostly for editorials for magazines, and they allowed me to really build up my portfolio basically. So, Europe. The turning point really was, I think, when I took a holiday in Europe in the April of 2022. So I was just traveling around different regions of Europe, and I remember one fine day, me and my boyfriend, we stopped over in Copenhagen for like a day or two, and I was just walking on the streets, enjoying Copenhagen, and someone comes up to me and tells me, "Oh, I really like your look. Where are you from? Are you from Copenhagen, or where are you based? Are you a model?" And I told them, "Yeah, I'm a model based in Singapore." And then she goes, "You can drop by my office if you have the time." And at that point, I don't know what I was thinking. I couldn't really catch what she was saying. So I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. When you don't know what the other person is saying and you're just like, yeah. That was what I did. And then only after the whole conversation ended and we went our separate ways, I asked my boyfriend, like, "Did you hear what she was saying?" And he said, "Yeah, she said that, she owns a modeling agency and she wants to see you in the office and stuff like that." And I was like, I missed that? But anyway, I didn't get her contact, but I got the name of the agency. I remember feeling so crazy happy that day. Like, imagine being in a foreign country and someone comes up to you and say that they want to cast you. It really was like a dream come true to me. We Google about this agency and we find out that it's one of the largest agencies in Copenhagen. Unfortunately, everything was closing. It was 6 p.m. and I think they were heading home or something, so I couldn't just go up to the agency at that moment. And I had a train to catch early the next day, so I couldn't go see them the next day, which was a bummer. So what happened was that my agency in Singapore told me that they would contact the agency and we would see what happens. But in the meantime, since you are going to Amsterdam, could you please cast with this agency in Amsterdam? I went like, okay, of course. So I go to Amsterdam. Then I find out that the agency I'm casting for is Elite Amsterdam. The Elite. And naturally, I was feeling so crazy nervous about casting for Elite. And I just basically remember freaking out when I was in Amsterdam. I went over to this agency to cast, and everyone at the agency was actually really nice, so I wasn't that nervous. We took some photos, talked a bit, and then that was it. I went on with my whole Europe holiday and stopped thinking about all this, and then went back to Singapore. And as usual, I was getting a little bit of jobs here and there, but not too much, until August of 2022, and this is where things really start happening. So in August 2022, I basically packed up and moved to Norway for a student exchange in Trondheim. A lovely place, by the way. I have so many overdue videos from there, which I will post soon. I remember flying into Berlin from Singapore and spending a few days in Berlin before I flew to Norway. So I was just walking in Berlin with my friend, and this woman comes up to me and she says, like, "Are you a model? You look really good. We would love to cast you." Of course, I felt really happy because it happened again, in another country. I was starting to think that I really could make it somewhere outside of Singapore. And I also tell my agent in Singapore, because they're my mother agency, which means that they basically handle me worldwide and all the agencies that I'm signed to around the world. And they tell me, "You have to tell this other lady that you're already signed in Amsterdam. You can't be signed again." And I was like, "I'm signed in Amsterdam?" My agent goes, "Yeah, I thought I told you that you're signed with Elite Amsterdam." And at that point, I was like, I'm signed with Elite? All this time, from April to August, I didn't know that I was signed with Elite. And I was so happy knowing that I was signed with one of the biggest agencies in the world. Like, blew my mind. Like, I thought I was just a little shrimp from Singapore, but here I am in Elite. Like, that's crazy. So this whole thing happened and I went to Norway for exchange. I was enjoying my time with my friends, and we booked a trip to Oslo in September just for fun. And my agent tells me, "Can you please go see this agency in Oslo because they want to sign you as well?" So I went to see this agency, took some photos, and got signed. At this point, I was like, there are so many things happening that I am so excited for. I could possibly be working in Europe. So I'm out and about in Oslo eating dinner with my friends. And then I get a text from my agent that goes something like this. Chloe, I need you to fly to Milan tomorrow to cast for Fashion Week. That blew my mind. Like, I couldn't eat after that. I just couldn't do anything that night. Like, I was just thinking about Milan. You want me to go to Milan? So at that point, everything moved so fast. I got, introduced to my agents in Milan. My flight was booked and I was heading to Milan the very next day. So can you imagine from my perspective? So I'm having school in Norway and I'm just on holiday in Oslo with my friends, and suddenly I'm flying to Milan to cast for Fashion Week, and all my classes can wait because, Fashion Week. I only packed for 4 days in Oslo, but I didn't know how long I was gonna have to stay in Milan. I had to literally take my friend's bigger suitcase and go to Milan with it. I was just like re-wearing clothes because I didn't pack for Milan. And I'm so nervous because I'm meeting this big agency. So I meet my agency and I remember walking into the agency and looking at the cards, the row of cards, because as a model you have this com card. So these are some of the cards that I have. So this is what it looks like. It's like a main photo and then also some other photos at the back and your measurements. And this is the one that I had when I was with Elite Milan over there. So a lot of agencies tend to have this wall of com cards where they showcase their models. And I remember feeling so happy when I saw that my face, my card, was on the same wall with all these other crazy talented and top models like, Ho Yeon from Squid Game, Mulan Bae, so many big models. And I was just like, there is no way that I'm in Milan right now, that I'm in this agency on the same wall with these crazy accomplished people. At that point, I was just like, wow, I've actually done something and I'm actually proud of myself. I remember being so happy to even just be there and have the chance to cast for Fashion Week. I really hoped to get on Fashion Week, but obviously, as with many castings, casting for Fashion Week is incredibly tough and I got rejected, which is life, that's just how the industry works. But I remember feeling so sad about it. I didn't get anything, and I remember taking a little holiday not too far away from Milan to Bellagio, and it was such a pretty place, and I was just walking around, kind of feeling sad, but not really because I'm in such a pretty place. So anyway, I didn't get any shows that Fashion Week, and they were like, yeah, you should probably go back to Norway then. So then they booked me a flight back to Norway, and shush! So anyway, I flew back to Norway. From then on, I was signed to a few different agencies, in Stockholm, in Oslo, in Germany as well. And I was basically just flying around for some jobs while I was studying. I do have a vlog out. So I do have a video out right now that's about my jobs in Oslo, and I'm also going to be releasing another vlog of me doing my jobs in Stockholm and also in Munich. So be sure to subscribe to not miss those vlogs. My exchange semester came to an end, so I was supposed to continue school in 2023 because I had one more year of studying left before I graduated. But I was like, no, let's take a LA and let's go model because life is short. So that's what I did. I took half a year of LA and I was just staying around Europe. In January, I moved all my stuff to Milan and I basically stayed there. And as a model, you don't know where you're going when you're going. So I was staying in Milan and I had no idea where I would be in the next month's time, and that was kind of exciting but also kind of scary. So in 2023 I started full-time placement in Milan, not only just working in Milan, I was also flying to Germany, to Stockholm, to Amsterdam for a job. These were really cool jobs that I had. I managed to shoot with a luxury brand for the first time. I shot with Amine and it was a really cool social media campaign. I also shot with René Calvilla, the shoe brand. I managed to work with Hosweiler. I shot with some online magazines. I shot with My Theresa. These really big clothing brands that I never imagined that I could do. So yeah, I was just flying around for jobs, also doing a lot of castings and a lot of jobs in Milan until the season of Fashion Week. So, London Fashion Week. So my booker in London tells me that, Chloe, this brand wants to fly you out to London to cast for Fashion Week for the show. And I remember feeling so happy because I was like, this brand wants to fly me out for a casting. It wasn't even for a job, it was for a casting. So I flew there, I casted with them. This casting was pretty quick. It was a lot of models and all of us basically had to walk one time in front of the casting director and the creative director of the brand, and that was it. So I did that and I went back home to Milan, and my agent in London lets me know that, hey, I think they like you, they want you back for fitting. So I fly back to London for fitting. So I was basically wearing the clothes that they wanted to show on Runway that season to see if, all the measurements were right, if it fitted well onto the models. Things were looking pretty good and my agency was pretty confident that I was going to book this show. So while I was fitting with this brand, I was also going around for castings with other brands. So this is when I also casted with JW Anderson. I remember it was just like any other casting, As a model, you cannot have your hopes too high up, especially when it comes to Fashion Week, because there is so much competition. There are girls lining up for hours just to meet the casting director. So I knew that I couldn't have my hopes up, so I treated everything with as much neutrality as I could muster. I continued my fitting with the other brand, and that was that. Everything seemed to be going well until one day my agent tells me, yeah, that brand that flew you out for casting, it's not gonna work out. I was so confused because I thought that it was looking really good. But this is the reality, and this is what happens to a lot of models, especially during Fashion Week. Like, rejections are totally normal. It's really just part of how Fashion Week works. And because I knew that this was a possibility, I told myself I shouldn't allow myself to be happy until I actually walked on the runway. So I was kind of affected, but I wasn't like devastated or anything. It was a really good missed opportunity, but I believe it will come again. I also found out that I was confirmed for JW Anderson, and so I went for fitting with them. So show day just came like really quick, like bam. It was like a 7 a.m. call time. There was like a buffet for all the models and the staff, and we ate, we went into hair and makeup, and everything was chop. We went for rehearsals, and then it was the show. And I remember we were all backstage, queued up in our sequence numbers, wearing the things that we were gonna walk out onto the runway with, and we hear the guests coming in, and we hear things like, oh, Anna Wintour is here, and imagine just being backstage and knowing who's gonna be in the guests, like knowing that someone like Anna Wintour, all these big names in fashion are gonna be sitting out there watching you. That for me was such a phenomenal experience. Like when I was sitting in this very room in Singapore, I never would have imagined that I would ever walk in front of someone like Anna Wintour. All the guests arrived and got seated, and then finally it was time for the show, and you hear the music starts and we're all just like, the feeling of everybody just snapping into focus and getting ready for the show is really something that's quite amazing. So we're all lined up and I'm just waiting for my turn to go up onto the runway. Thoughts like, I can't mess anything up, I have to walk well, this was all quite pressuring. So then it was finally my turn. Like, I remember just like deep breath in, deep breath out, prep talking myself like, you're gonna do this, you're gonna get out there and kill the show. The staff go on Chloe, and JW Anderson makes the final adjustments to my outfit, and then I step on the stage. And it's like all these people with their phones out, taking videos of you, photos of you, and it was just a crazy experience. And I was just focused on keeping the right formation, the right speed, and not falling, walking nicely. It was just over in a flash. Like, it was so quick. The show was over, everyone was like really happy, it was a great show, and that was it. That was my first ever Fashion Week debut with JW Anderson at London. Knowing what it is like to be on a runway, to meet all these people who are involved with the process of running a fashion show, like seeing that from the inside was so exciting for me. It felt like I could actually make something out of this career, So yeah, that was London Fashion Week. And then I had to fly straight to Milan for more castings with, all the brands in Italy and Paris, because it's London Fashion Week for a week, and then right after that it's Milan, and right after that it's Paris. So I went back to Milan for castings, but I didn't get anything, and then I flew to Paris for castings as well, but I also didn't get anything. But you know what? It's okay, because next time we'll get it. Next time. So yeah, so that wrapped up the whole of Fashion Week for me that season, and it was a really exciting season. So after this, I moved from Milan to London, where I stayed for about 2 to 3 months, and I was just like having a little jobs in London and also flying around, you know, to Amsterdam, to Stockholm, to Oslo to shoot with Soyb again, and I also shot with Indata Stories and some other brands, and that was pretty fun. But I realized that it was time for me to go home because I started missing home a lot. So I did end up booking a flight in around May to go back to Singapore, and I've been here ever since. After I came back, I also shot for some more magazines, you know, like Harper's Bazaar and Her World, a few other magazines in Singapore. I shot my first ever TV commercial. Wasn't the main character, but still, like, being in a TV commercial was kind of crazy. Like, you couldn't really see my face, like you could just see my back and me walk, but to me that was just like, my back is on the cinema screen on the ad before the movie. Like, that's my bag. So now I'm back in Singapore. At the time of filming this video, it's currently the end of January of 2024, and my plan is I'm gonna get my degree in computer science. I'm gonna finish graduating in May, and then I'm gonna go to Europe to continue modeling because I feel like I'm young and life is short. I don't know what is going to happen next year. I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So if I have this chance right now, I'm gonna go take it and see where this takes me. It might fail or it might succeed. I don't know, but it's worth a try, and I'm excited for what's to come. So follow my Instagram if you want to stay up to date with all my modeling jobs and also my live, and remember to subscribe and turn on the notifications. I post content about modeling, about traveling, and just about my life, and I'll see you in a bit.